Hello, FPL managers, and welcome to Fantasy Football Hub's Game Week 10 captaincy video with me, James, and I'm joined by FPL underscore Salah. Abdul, how was your Game Week 9?
Yeah, I had a really good one again, James. I've had an amazing start to the season. It's probably the best start I've ever had, I think. In the 15 years I've been playing, I got 99 points. Salah captain obviously, and I went from around about 27k to 17k now. So yeah, really happy with the start.
Painfully close to that 100 club, although I'm sure you won't
Yeah,
mind just missing out 99
not at
points.
all.
Incredibly good
So
score. Were you tempted by
yeah.
Kai Havertz last week, Abdul?
Uh, no, I wasn't, and the only reason I wasn't was because there was no easy way for me to bring him in.
Okay.
So like, if I was to bring him in, it would have been for a hit. But if there was an easy route to him, I probably would have. I think, with that fixture and knowing that he was going to play as a number nine. But luckily for me, this week I had no easy route to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a lot of people getting rid of the likes of Jota, for example, after Firmino's
Yeah,
hat trick. That must have been incredibly painful. And a couple of differential Chelsea defender captainers as well, which obviously went down pretty
hmm
well, assuming that you didn't go for the likes of Azpilicueta and Christensen. But generally speaking, that was also a good punt. Um, it's a tricky video this week, Abdul, isn't it? Because the narrative ahead of game week 10 is put your captaincy on Salah and keep it there. Before we talk about some potential differential options in game week 10, I want to know what your
hmm
thoughts are on the concept of a set and forget captain. Do you agree with the philosophy that you should just be keeping it on Salah now, or do you think that we should still be taking each week as it comes as far as our armband goes?
Yeah. I mean, I think we should be taking each week as it comes, but at the same time, I think, until Salah shows, a bit of a dip in form, or his numbers start going down, then he has to be the set and forget captain because, I mean, he's done it against City, he's done it against United. He's only blanked once this season. I mean, the form he's shown is like it's nothing we've ever seen, from him. He's got 10 goals and 6 assists so far. He's averaging 11.8 points per game. So yeah, I mean, I think at the moment it's just a fact of like putting keeping the armband on Salah, and for the time being, it's just a 10-man game, really, isn't it? I mean, it's Salah's everyone's captain, and then it's the other 10 players um, that are going to make the difference for you. But at the same time, as you're saying, even in 1 week, a lot can change in FPL. So yeah, as I was saying, it's one of those where if it's not broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, we need to kind of keep a beady eye on proceedings week by week as well.
Yeah, of course. And you've mentioned that he only blanked once. It was actually against Burnley, which, given the
At
some
home,
of the
yeah,
opponents that he's played, it is
yeah.
remarkable, really, that that would be the side he blanked against. And you can't help but wonder whether Brighton, kind of a similar mould to Burnley, perhaps, in that they're, one of those lower league teams that defend very, very
Mm,
resolutely. Maybe it's a banana skin in way. I mean, I'm clutching at straws here, Abdul. We're both going to captain him, I'm sure. But let's have a look at a couple of
oh, for sure,
differentials. We'll start with Phil Foden. You own him, Abdul. One of the reasons
I
why
do.
you did so well in game week 9. And didn't he look fantastic in game week 9 against, we've just mentioned Brighton's defensive resoluteness. It was nothing compared to that Man City attacking onslaught. Foden, the centre of pretty much everything that they were doing well in that game from an attacking perspective. Crystal Palace at home. It's tempting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if there is a good differential option, outside Salah, it's Phil Foden this week. I think. I mean, he's playing as a false nine, in that City team, and he's been. I mean, I see he seems to be having this kind of his breakthrough season where, I think he's cemented himself in Pep's first 11. That's not to say he'll start every game. I don't think he will, but I think he will start the majority. And because he's 8.1 million, playing up top for City, I think he's probably still worth it. Given the fact he is probably going to be rotated in a few games. But his stats have been amazing. I mean, from game week 6, since that was the first game he started, He's got 3 goals and 2 assists, and only Ben Chilwell and Mo Salah have scored more points than him in that in that period, and he's been putting up some great stats as well. He's got 12 shots in the box. He's got an XG of 2.39, which is second. For the last 4 game weeks from game week 6. So yeah, I mean he's a fantastic option. Again, they're at home and they've got Palace. And we know what City's attack is capable of. So and he does look like the kind of most likely scorer for them as well. And I was really surprised last week seeing KDB benched and Foden start. And I was convinced Foden was going to be benched for that game, but it seems the power has shifted a little bit in that sense.
I mean, I have to say, I felt like his first 2 goals were quite fortuitous, and as a non-Foden owner, I was quite infuriated at the goals that he was scoring. But that second half, he was unlucky not to score a hat-trick and could have had more, in fact. And as you say, fantastic stats to back it up. I've actually got the stats from game week 6 on screen at the moment, and as you rightly point out, an XG of 2.39, which is very, very good. An XA of 1.57 as well, so creative force as well as a goal-scoring threat. I think he is the player that a lot of Grealish owners at the start of the season hoped Grealish would be, in that we have this idea that if you're starting for Man City, you're going to get opportunities. Foden is the embodiment of that. Grealish, maybe not so much, though he did get an assist at the weekend. Right. Another differential, Abdul, Mason Mount. It's another one who had a incredible game week 9. It really was a high scoring game week, wasn't it? A little bit fortunate, you might argue, to get his hat trick. That retaken penalty, if you owned Mount, was incredibly fortunate. However, he was getting into decent positions, and again, Chelsea, great opponents in Newcastle in game week 10.
Yeah, I mean, both his penalties were terrible. The second one as well. Tim Krul nearly saved it. Hit his foot, but I'm not going to complain about that because I had Phil Foden, who I think one of the goals went off his backside. So I know you had Mount, so But he's a good option this week. I mean, he was playing fantastic against Spurs and against Norwich, and he's always he's been that player where his points usually kind of tick along. He gets a goal or an assist in a game. He's on set pieces. He's on corners, so he's always like a kind of reliable option. I was checking on Transfer Market, and he hasn't had more than one attack and return in a game week. Since for about over a year now. So obviously that was, Mount is a good option, but he's not going to be hitting double figures every week, like he did last week. But saying that, Norwich obviously they are the worst kind of defence in the league, but Newcastle are just behind Norwich in that sense. So they're actually the second worst defence when you're looking at XGC and goals conceded. So I wouldn't be surprised with another high scoring game here. With Chelsea maybe scoring 3 or 4 goals. And you wouldn't be surprised at all if Mount was involved in that again.
Yeah, I've always seen. I bought Mount in a couple of weeks ago, really for his creative output more than his goal-scoring threat, which is reflected by his XA, which actually trumps his XG. He's also created 5 big chances. He's only had 2 big chances himself. So, and I'm imagining both of those are in a Norwich game. To be fair, the penalty and the tap in at the end. So. He's not, as you rightly point out, going to score a huge amount of goals this season, I don't think. I do think, however, he's quite a reliable starter for Chelsea, and as we've learned, if Chelsea do go on one of their rampages, it's likely that anyone starting for them, I'm sorry Havertz owners, but most players starting for them are going to pick up points, be it via fortunate assists or, of course, penalties, rebounds, etc. What do we think to Havertz? Very quickly, we should touch on him. I'm certain that anyone who bought him in ahead of Norwich is not going to be looking to captain him against Newcastle. He's definitely a keep, though, isn't he, Abdul?
Oh, for sure. Havertz owners were really unlucky. Every player in the Chelsea starting 11 returned in that game week, apart from Havertz. So that's how unfortunate they were in a 7-0 win. And I think the guys who bought in Havertz, they didn't only bring him in for Norwich. It's for the next 3 games. They've got Newcastle and I think they've got Burnley after that. So, yeah, he's definitely a keep. but I don't think he's a captain, as you say. I just really can't look past Salah. But Havertz, he's a great option. He's still going to be playing number 9, and I'm actually quite confident in him this week. I think he'll do well against Newcastle.
Agreed. Okay, finally, Mo Salah. I mean, we've already talked about Mo and his ridiculous form this season. I think we're running out of superlatives, Abdul. But let's quickly touch on this Brighton fixture in particular. Do you think that there's any credence to my theory that this could be harder than it potentially looks on paper?
The thing is, I mean, Brighton are a decent defence, right? They've got, I mean, they're in like the top 5 defences in the league. But I mean, you saw what City done to them, and Liverpool's attack is just as good or even better than City's, and they're at home. And Liverpool are just rampant right now. They top all the kind of attacking metrics. They've got the most shots on target, most shots in the box, most big chances, most XG, so most goals scored. So they're top in everything. So even though Brighton's defense is decent, I just don't see them stopping that Liverpool team, and more importantly, stopping Salah either.
There's been plenty of talk ahead of game week 10 about Liverpool's home versus away form. They've scored a lot more goals away. I think the Times did a tweet. It's something like, I think in their last 8 away games, they've never scored less than 3 goals,
3 goals, yeah.
which is remarkable. What do you make of that, Abdul? Obviously at home at Anfield against Brighton, Liverpool, one of those teams that traditionally at least has performed better at home. Anfield famed, for its atmosphere and
Of course, yeah.
its impact on the players. Is this just a statistical anomaly, or should FPL managers be bearing that in mind when they're eyeing up not just the likes of Salah but also Jota, Mane, Firmino?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment it's a fairly small sample size. If that trend kind of continues, for the next 10 games, and maybe I'd look at it with a bit more seriousness. But at the moment, I don't think there's much in that. I mean, yeah, okay, they're playing well at home, but away, but they're also playing well at home as well. So yeah, I mean, I think over the season that will probably kind of even out. Historically, if you see it, all teams do better at home than they do away. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be I wouldn't let the fact that Liverpool are at home kind of put me off Salah or anything like that. Just because they've got a better away record this season.
Well, listen, I've tried to play devil's advocate, but it's incredibly difficult when you're doing it with Salah. Yeah. I mean, his stats speak for themselves. 7.96 XG already this season, over 100 points already, the fastest player ever to reach 100 points in FPL. All signs point towards a record-breaking season for him. Best player in the world at the moment, playing Brighton at home. I don't think we need to say much more than that. Abdul, thanks so much for joining me. One quick question. You've been playing FPL for long enough, Abdul, to know that the triple captain can sometimes be a trap on a double game week. Is this the sort of week where if you were playing it on a single game week, you might consider deploying it, or would you wait for even easier opponents?
I don't think I'd be using that at Brighton. I mean, I'm not totally averse to kind of using the triple captain in a single game week, but I think if you're going to use it in a single game week, then it'd probably be a fixture like Norwich at home or Watford at home or something like that. I mean, I still prefer to play it in a double game week, but I've seen people playing in a single game. I mean, we've seen it, all over that. It does work in a single game week as well. But yeah, I wouldn't say Brighton was a fixture to do it. I think if you are going to use it in a single game week, then it's got to be an easier fixture.
Okay, fair enough. All right, mate. Thanks ever so much. I hope that your green streak continues in game week 10. We'll be back next week ahead of game week 11 to discuss the captaincy options. I have a suspicion there's going to be a favourite already, but you never know. You never know of FPL. All right, guys. Good luck for the game week. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, do give it a like.
See you guys. Bye.
Cheers, Abdul. Take care, mate.